Welcome to KIRSTIcast, the show where we hope to illuminate, entertain, and engage our listeners, helping them create the life they want. I'm your host, Kirsti Manna. Hi, I'm Kirsti Manna, and welcome to KIRSTIcast. Thanks so much for being here. When was the last time you had a me day? I never really knew what a me day was until my friend Ashley told me about how she liked to take some me time. I'll give you a minute to let that one sink in. Who out there needs a little self-care? I think we all do. I'm talking taking some time off from the grind and clearing your mind. One of the best things I've ever done is to make time to meditate. My friend Lacey Younger taught me that. It is one of the best ways to reduce stress, which we all experience. Even just a few minutes can help calm you and create inner peace, and you can practice it anywhere. People have been practicing meditation for thousands of years. I also love practicing yoga. It reminds me of when I practiced sense memory in acting class. Yoga has really helped me with anxiety and stress. I'm so focused on breathing and poses that take concentration and balance that I can't even think about anything else. And that's the idea. Don't judge your meditation skills. You're practicing self-care, right? The idea is to practice, and if your mind wanders, return to whatever object or movement you're focusing on. You can practice meditation on your own, breathing and focusing all of your attention on just one thought. Walking and meditating, slowing your pace and focusing on the movement of your legs and feet. Prayer is the best known way and most widely practiced meditation. Experiment and find out what works for you, because the more you meditate, the more you will fall in love with how it makes you feel. Hope that helps. Stay tuned for the Shero Spotlight. Stay tuned for the Shero Spotlight. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Shero Spotlight. I have a very special guest here today. This is a young lady that I met when we wrote songs together, and it's so nice to reconnect with her. Let me tell you a little bit about her. She is only 25 years old, and she's physical evidence that you are not your mental health trauma. I love that. When she was growing up physically, she had to grow up mentally, emotionally, and spiritually through the darkest of times with adoption, bullying, self-harm, bulimia, anorexia, depression, anxiety, and watching her mom pass away from ovarian cancer. After starting her full recovery process at age 15, she has achieved the titles and recognition that prove to herself and the world you are not your mental health trauma, but can incorporate those battles to win the overall war. That is really powerful, and I can't wait to talk to her about this. She has not only gained the achievement of being almost a decade in recovery, but within those 10 years, gained the title a singer-songwriter that was signed to Dolly Parton producers Kent Wells Company. She's been a TEDx speaker, a model, an ambassador to Holt Adoption Agency, an HPDF Vietnam, and mental health and mindset motivational speaker to schools and corporations. Please welcome Amy Minh Hanh Corey. Amy, it's so great to see you.
It's so good to see you.
And thank you for being here.
Thank you. I just remember you were the first big songwriter that ever gave little 18-year-old Amy a chance to write with.
Oh, that's so kind of you to say that. Well, I just thought you were so special, and Ken spoke so highly of you, and our friend Bill DeLuigi, who we both love and write with. Well, let me ask you, how do you, I'm going to jump right to it, how do you incorporate your music and your songwriting into your ambassadorship and talking to people about self-harm?
I think it honestly comes from all the experiences I had in the music industry and being able to communicate in just so many different ways through music, through songwriting, through speaking. It's all the same. It's just the creativity to find that different aspect of communication. And when I signed to Kent, it was all about my story, that I was so lucky to not have to become anyone. I could really just be me. And so they signed me to PR immediately. So prior to releasing music, I was doing so many PR and media and was speaking and really gained a lot of confidence within that, and being able to learn kind of how to grow the natural ability I had of communication.
Yeah.
And I got brand deals and I got press and media through that, all before I released music, and it kind of ignited that expansion and love that I have for speaking.
Oh, that's cool. Now, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Because I thought it came after.
No, it came before.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So how did songwriting and recording music with Kent really help you in healing from everything that you'd gone through, all the things that we mentioned in your bio?
Yeah, there's always been a therapy. Poetry and writing and journaling, it's all been a therapeutic outlook, and I truly find a lot of healing when it comes to having these emotions and these feelings and these darkness inside, and literally physically writing it on paper to let it live somewhere, as long as it lives outside of my body.
Yeah.
And it's almost like a timestamp. And I like the exercise of it. I like, in like the least sadistic way, I like pulling all of these emotions and finding and having an exercise to create something really beautiful from it. And so it's really a good challenge for me, because it also makes me very present and very aware on exactly what this feeling is, and being able to let it live somewhere, and having that healing process of getting it out of me, but letting it be, and not overlooking it, and not being like, oh, this never happened. It happened, here it is.
Yeah.
And that's a timestamp.
Yeah. That's a really interesting way to put that, because I imagine that there are probably people that you meet that have experienced trauma in their life that don't want to recognize, like you just said, that it actually happened. And that seems to me like a big way that people work through it.
Yeah, I think so. And I think it's, like we've said before, it's the evidence that it's not only possible, but it's empowering as well to accept that it happened and recognize who you are from it, instead of letting it be who you are.
Yeah. What do you use music in your speaking events? Do you sing?
I do. With schools, I did it a lot more. Corporations are a little more, firm.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But whenever I do an open question Q&A, I usually sing something a cappella, something usually Dolly.
Oh, of course. Can you believe Dolly and the power of Dolly, and how Dolly Parton so affects everybody? Did you ever get to meet her when you were working with Kent?
I did. I opened for her.
Did you?
Yeah, I opened for her. We did a event together to honor Kent in Arkansas, and it was one heck of a trip. It was crazy, and I've met her, and it's always been such an amazing motivation, because I was actually signed to Kent specifically.
Right.
And so it was me, and then there was Dolly, and it was always an interesting kind of balance, because it's such a large gap of competition. Usually you have some people around your level, but it's Dolly Parton.
Yeah.
And it was the biggest motivation. And also I saw a lot of sides of her and understood that type of fame, that type of success. And it really actually made me think about what I genuinely want through my career. And it kind of made me realize I don't want to be like her, because I want a lot of things. I want a lot of freedom that she is so good at controlling. But I do recognize a lot of the mental health and everying that, and in a sense, the loneliness that when you are that big, you know.
Well, you lose all your anonymity. I mean, you can't just go to the grocery store and,
the simple
shop.
things in life, which I very much love.
Yeah, the simple things in life, exactly. So a minute, I always tell my guests, I'm gonna give you these questions we're gonna talk about, and then somebody says something, and I go, oh, I got to ask about that.
I know, I love
it. Now, before we started the interviews, you were saying you were going to go to London, and tell me a little bit about your experiences there.
I love London. I've always been very connected. I grew up with British TV shows, and I've had a relationship with a British man, and has always, like, I say petrol, and I'm so, like, so many friends of mine and influences of mine are from the British, and I've always had a connection there, and I lived there during COVID.
Did you really?
Yeah.
How did that happen? How did you end up going
I
there?
was actually supposed to go to Vietnam. I got government access to come into Vietnam, and London was the transit.
Okay.
And then I made a decision during the time to just stay in London, and did some soul searching. And
oh, wow.
Yeah.
Tell me about the work that we mentioned in your bio that you've done in Vietnam.
I am so honored and grateful to work with Ho Chi Minh City Peace and Development Foundation as the only Vietnamese American ambassador. There's 4 of us. And I was personally invited by Madame Ninh, who was the former ambassador for Vietnam to the EU in Belgium.
Okay.
And she personally asked me to become part of this amazing organization that celebrates peace and openness within the Vietnamese community, and being able to kind of be that bridge in a sense between America and Vietnam, especially when I did my TEDx talk. It was actually with a TEDx group in Vietnam.
Okay.
And so it was a very interesting challenge to truly be someone who is speaking globally. You know, it made me recognize what true compassion and understanding and communication is, because something I might say towards Americans is not something that I should say toward the Vietnamese, and likewise. And so it made me become who I thought I could be on being able to speak in a global community without judgment, and just as someone who has just the best intentions on healing and making yourself better.
That's really well said. Did you have the opportunity to work with any young Vietnamese kids or young people in regards to music?
Yeah, when I was in Vietnam in 2019 and I toured, and I met some amazing local Vietnamese artists, and they're all just so fun and hardworking, but the Vietnamese, there's something about us that does everything so fast and efficient, to where we were always done at like 3 or 4 o'clock. I worked every single day, but I'd be done at 4. And then the Vietnamese are party animals. So you just go to a bar and, you know, get 10 beers for 25 cents each. It's a great time.
That's why they work fast, so they can go to the bar.
It's work hard, play hard. Right. Truly.
That is funny. I love it. What do you love about visiting Vietnam? I've never been there. I'm sure it's a beautiful place.
It's to me, it's so freeing. I think there is so much culture, and there's so much love and acceptance of everyone. And Vietnamese people are so, like, we're so proud of what we have. And I think a lot of people from other countries see it as very little, but to see someone's passion on recognizing that it may be little to your eyes, but they are so proud of it. Like when people want to show you their menus of their restaurants, they're so proud and passionate of what they've done,
what they've achieved.
And they don't care who likes it or doesn't like it. They're just proud. And I just love that type of empowerment that they have. And I definitely feel it within my blood, because I am fully Vietnamese. So I feel that too.
That's really exciting.
Yeah.
You have done so many wonderful things. I hope I get to hear you speak sometime at one of your events, because when I first met you, I always connect with girls and women who are petite, like me, because I'm short, and so it's always fun to meet petite people. But you're such a powerhouse person.
Thank you.
I just think it's so great. So, what are some of your goals for 2023? I know you talked about you're excited about maybe buying a house.
I'm hoping to buy a house. That's a big goal, I think, when it comes to that career financial aspect, which is something I don't usually follow, but I think it's a good essence of independence and freedom, and that's kind of what I try to guide myself to instead of the money aspect. It's literally just being independent and freedom. I also am doing a lot of kind of ending karmic cycles with a lot of people. That's a big goal of mine. There's a part of me that really, I have very few people I say a negative kind of blockage with. And I think this is my year where I'm fully myself. I'm fully able to accept and live with everything that has happened in my life, to be able to know that, I'm okay, I'm moving forward, and I would love to move forward with these people, whatever capacity that is.
Yeah.
I just am ready to let go of a lot of things, and I think healing and letting someone else heal through that too is a big goal of mine this year.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
I love that.
There's only like 2 people, so I think I can do it.
I think you'll make it.
I think so.
Well, it's really interesting because I don't know if you ever read the book The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. So this was a book that I got asked to look at and read when I was in acting class. And it's a really interesting book because in the second chapter, it talks about making a list of people that are really positive in your life and people that are negative, or crazy makers is what this author calls it. Mm-hmm. And it's really interesting, when you look at your life in a way and think about people that are in your life and people that really appreciate who you are for who you are and everything, and making a decision, to kind of step away from somebody who is a real negative, or or saying ending something karmic. I think it's hard, and when it happens, it's so freeing. When that is gone from you, anything that's not good karma wise, an experience, action that you do, some practice that you have that isn't good. I just think it's so great to let those things go. Yeah. And that's why I think it's so great, to clean your house, to purge sometimes, because there are things in your way that, that are keeping you from moving on.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the biggest thing that I feel like people have a misperception of karma is all about the self.
Yeah.
Having even a karmic connection with someone, there's 2 different types of karmas that's just together, and the only way you can break that is by doing it for yourself.
It's so
that's
true.
That's what breaks the cycle.
It's so true. And we're so geared, to, and I think it's good to, think about other people and put them ahead of us. But sometimes we're so geared to that sometimes we don't, have good self-care.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What's some advice that you give to people who are listening that don't spend enough time in self-care?
I think the biggest thing is recognizing that the way you love yourself, the way you nurture yourself, it does energetically cross with everything else you do. The way you love yourself is how you're showing other people how to love you. The love you put into yourself is how you love your house or your family or, your career. Everything is from you. Yeah. And so if you're not giving that to yourself, you can't give because you get drained, and then you actually become the energies you're giving it to.
Right.
And you lose yourself. And that's kind of a lot of times when you can fall into depression and into anxiety, is because it's covering up who you really are, and your body and your mind and your soul are literally telling you that something needs to be rebirthed, Yeah. But the only way you can rebirth that is recognizing who you really are in this moment. Yeah. And who you really want to be, and to make that transition. And it's hard. Yeah. And it's something that I come in and out of. I've been in and out of recovery of depression my entire life. Mm-hmm. And I think after, the 7th time, you're kind of like, every time I make it through, it's really, really hard. But every single time I make it through, I become someone new. I transform. And I call it growing pains. Yeah. Because you're literally growing and you're going through these pains.
Yeah. It's so true. And I don't know what it is about women and why they have such a hard time with self-care. I think women are so multidimensional. They can do so many things at once. They can cook, and they can answer the phone and hold a kid and all these things. What else they do? And so I think a lot of times women have such a hard time with that. And look at you teaching people about self-care and being so brave to talk about all the things that you've been through. And it's really wonderful. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
And
it means a lot.
And I'm so glad that you're doing that.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. So tell me one of your stay inspired stories, a story something that's happened to you in your life. It doesn't have to be about music or self-care. It can be anything. Something that's stuck with you and that you will always stay in your heart.
Well, recently, very recently, I was told that I was worthless, and I was told that I was not worth love and being loved. And it was the most incredible transformation and I always say that the universe never tests you. It just gives you an opportunity to show who you say you are. And I have worked my entire life on knowing what I deserve, my self-love for myself, and knowing that I am worth it. And to be that has literally been so empowering. The fact that someone sees that and is so scared and so intimidated by it, they physically have to tell you that you're not worth it.
Wow.
That is the most empowering thing you can ever do, is to know that the way, like I said, the way you love yourself, the way you feel about yourself, other people see it. And people usually think when people bring you down, it's because they don't see it. It's because they do see it.
And
they are so scared of it.
Right, and they don't have it, their own love for themselves.
They get so mad that it exists. That they physically, verbally, and I'm very, against verbal abuse, bullying, something that I've kind of been through entire my life. And that's what has given me this power to know that it has nothing to do with me. It's literally because of me that they are reacting this way. And it's so inspiring, and the power that you can feel when you can truly know what you deserve, who you are, and what you're worth, and to know that you are shining it so bright that people are having to close their eyes. People are trying to shut it down. That should be exactly where you want to be.
That's really a cool way to say that. And I've never had anybody say that in that way. I think that is really interesting and a strong way to inspire yourself, by saying that. And sometimes too, when we meet people, we don't even know why. We always think, not always, but a lot of times we think people are in our life for us, and sometimes they're in our life for them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think that's the thing. Like, I used to always say, if people judge me by my self-harm scars, it just says a lot more about them than it does me. I think a lot of people, they almost use everyone as a mirror. I mean, everyone does it. Everyone becomes their own inner child, and they need to tell someone to be able to figure out what they see in them that they are trying to see within themselves.
Right.
But at the same time, I think a lot of people do get intimidated, and they get scared because of them. They would rather level someone down instead of doing the work to level themselves up.
Right. Well, and social media, I talk about this a lot with young people, but social media, I think, is harmful in some ways to people because there's, and especially women, they're so into comparison. And so I think, you have to really be a strong person on social media, just, to just say, this is me, this is what I'm putting out there, not worry about how many people like it.
Yeah. Well, I think it's just everyone projecting. And I think there's such a fine balance between it. And I very much have come to learn on what I even want to put out there. And I think that's always been a pressure for me too, is I think a lot of people don't even believe that I have bad days because of the things that I project. And I found that very, isolating, actually. So I took a long time off of social media and really have just started kind of going back into it to kind of prove to myself that I can find a balance. And I'm only really ever on my phone when it comes to work. And then I
put it away. Well, a song that we wrote together, that we wrote with Lynn Wilbanks, was called I Have Days. And I don't know if you remember this situation, but you came into the writing room and you're so adorable and cute. And I don't know, I said something about, look how pretty your skin is. And you said, oh, I don't know if it looks so good today. And you said, you said, I have days. And that's where we got the title. I have days, I have ways to get through it all. That's the lyrics in our song. And
oh my gosh.
I think it's so true.
It got me chills of nostalgia.
I can just see you sitting there that day, and you go, I have days, I said, your skin is so pretty, and you're such a beautiful girl. Tell me what your power word is. I know you probably have a million of them, but what is one you're thinking of?
I honestly, my power word, and it can be a little mispercepted, but that's why I explain it, is the word intimidation. It's a very powerful word because it takes a lot of responsibility to use it correctly. And I think just because of I'm 5 feet tall, I am colored, I'm a woman. Like, I came into this industry when I was 18 years old, and I had to be intimidating because there was no way I was ever going to let anyone take advantage of me, but also see that people should be intimidated by me. People should never try to take my power or manipulate me.
Yeah.
And with that comes my kindness, comes my niceness. And my first employee was a lawyer, because I was not going to ever be intimidated by someone else. And I also am very good at playing a power game, because, like I said, I will do the work to meet someone's power. Yeah. And I also know how much I want to protect myself and my boundaries. And I think it is empowering to know that anyone, like we said before, anyone who wants to be a part of that will appreciate it and not even feel the intimidation. Yeah. And that's how you can kind of pick the weeds and keep the flowers, in my opinion. Yeah. But it's all for the self. It's all for that empowerment that you have for yourself, and then you attract the right people.
Yeah, that's really well said. You've thought about this a lot. You've obviously searched your soul a lot and searched your heart, and that takes a lot of time and courage, to be alone with yourself. Again, with the acting, when we had to do exercises like that, I really learned a lot about that, and it's a big time awareness of yourself. Yeah. And we have to remember that there are people who are walking amongst that, they're not aware of themselves, and I always wish people were, because it makes you feel better.
My therapist, the scariest thing I ever heard was something that my therapist told me, that the majority of the people live 90 to 94% within their subconscious.
Wow.
And that is the most terrifying fact I think I've ever heard. But it's also a sense of the human race on, there's a balance, If a lot of people were conscious, we'd have a lot worse things, because they power and magic and awareness is responsibility. Yeah. You got to work for it. You got to be aware of it. Yeah. And it's such a hard balance, because you're like, oh, come on, Yes, yeah. But at the same time, you're like, okay, maybe it's better. And it's just allowing everyone to be who they are, and, letting everyone, and believing that people can do that work for themselves, and letting them do that, and letting everything be.
Well, I'm counting on you to go out there with that strong message and share it. Now, tell me, what are you grateful for today?
I'm grateful for you. I think I'm honestly really grateful right now for a lot of connections that I've been a part of, and reconnecting and recognizing for myself that, I think one of the biggest things I've thought about recently was that everyone deserves someone who tells them the things that they tell other people. And really connecting with those people who do empower you, and who, like I said, aren't intimidated. Yeah. And I feel like a lot of my life lately has been reconnecting with those type of people, and then kind of seeing who isn't able to make that journey, and accepting everyone. And coming here with you after you knowing me for almost 9 years now. It's absolutely amazing. And I'm so thankful for you.
Well, I'm thankful for you, and I think of you often, and I'm so glad that you made the time to come here, because you have a very exciting and busy life, and you're out there changing the world, and that is so cool. And I love it. So you're going to sing a song for us today, and what are you going to sing?
I am going to sing a song called One of Us. That me and a dear friend of mine, his name is Johnny Clausen, who is killing it. He signed with Smack Publishing.
Wow,
recently.
Look at him go.
And he needs to know that I did help him get discovered, because I gave him a lot of his first gigs when he first moved here.
I love it. So don't forget that Johnny Clausen.
I know. He's a doll, and we actually wrote this song in 2019, and we went into a little psychic thing, because it manifested into exactly how my most recent breakup ended. Wow. And it has 10 times more meaning now. And it's a song that I love so much, because I have felt both sides of what I sing about. Yeah. And it's just so much more relevant, and it's almost it's God's timing, in a sense,
That's
to be able
cool.
to sing it now.
Well, I'm so glad you're going to share this with us. I want to thank you so much, my dear
love
girl.
You so much.
I love you too, and thanks for being here. Everybody stick around. We're going to be right back, and Amy's going to share her song.
You're single day. Every day. My celebration, my inspiration is to be like you, but in my own way. You're my Shero, more than a hero.
I've spent years of self-discovery learning how to live a successful creative life. That's why I created my course, Spark Your Creativity, the Steps to a Successful Creative Journey, to help others discover their own potential. Your creative journey never ends. So why not invest in yourself and sign up for my course today at Kirsti.com. See you on the journey. Hey everybody, thanks so much for being here today with KIRSTIcast. I want to thank again my very, very special friend and guest in the Shero Spotlight, Amy Corey. She has so many great things to say, and I hope you're going to check her out on all her socials and follow her, because she's really going to make some changes in this world, and she already has. She's going to be closing with a song, but before she does, let me remind you to listen, like, download, and share this podcast, and you can also watch it on YouTube. If you'd like to be a guest or know somebody who would like to be a guest on KIRSTIcast, you can email me at info@songwritergirl.com. Hope I'm going to see you next time. Thanks to all my sponsors, and whatever you do, stay inspired.
Hi, my name is Amy Corey, and this is One of Us. Mama told me you'd come along someday. A kind of love you only dream of, but somehow slips away. And weeks turn into months, and I'm still holding on too tight. And I can't find the reason why. 'Cause one of us cling to us someday, maybe one of us is pulling out the job erasing somewhere new, and we know who is who. And one of us sitting all alone and wishing one of us knew what they had to be missing, but my love just wasn't enough. We were both one of us. Backseat, the memory fades, and looking back's the only way I ever get to see your face. 'Cause we were fine, but we couldn't make it through the rain. Tell me why I still feel the flame, it burns. It just hurts. 'Cause one of us clinging to it someday, maybe one of us pulling out the job erasing somewhere new, and we know who is who. And one of us sitting all alone and wishing one of us knew what they had to be missing, but my love just wasn't enough. We were both one of us. So why did you let go? Or did I forget or just lose hope? And how are we supposed to do this on our own? 'Cause one of us clinging to us someday, maybe talking to the mirror. It's time they face it. One of us is never coming back. Yeah. And one of us sitting all alone and wishing one of us knew what they had to be missing, but my love just wasn't enough. And my love wasn't just enough. We were both one of us.
You've been listening to KIRSTIcast.